The People Station 93.7 WBLK, Todd Anderson with Pastor Darius Pridgen on the line. And Pastor Pridgen, hello, how are you?
Fine, how are you? Thanks for having me.
Good. Just wanted to briefly talk to you about this Walmart bus directly to Walmart situation, the new Walmart in Cheektowaga. And I did a blog a couple weeks ago regarding this, and then there's some new information that I was reading in the paper. Whereas Walmart has proposed a bus stop across the street, but then I saw your comment such that that's not acceptable. So has anything transpired beyond you saying that?
Yeah, surprisingly, first of all, thanks for getting involved in this and bringing it to the public's attention. I was contacted by employees and by riders to get involved, and so a few days ago, Walmart did come out and say after, I wrote Walmart, I wrote the town of Cheektowaga, I wrote at anybody who I could think of to say to them, putting it across the street, across a 6-lane highway at a very high traffic store for people from the city when there is no Walmart in the city would be unacceptable. About 2 days later, we got a response, and it was just a flat out no. That they were not going to allow the buses on the property.
Did they give any reason, sir?
No. They said that the conversation should have happened during the planning stages, which was to me also unacceptable because people from the city wouldn't have known about the planning that was going on in the town of Cheektowaga.
Right.
And so their answer to me also was unacceptable. And I pledged to be there on their opening day if they did not in some way consider it. And I would not be there shopping. So that was very, very clear.
Okay.
As of last night, and you're the first one that I'm releasing this information to, as of last night, I got a call from Walmart executives at their headquarters.
Now we got to,
and they did.
Now I just want to be clear because this is being pre-recorded. So last night, meaning today is Wednesday the 16th. So you're saying on the 15th.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, totally correct. Tuesday evening.
Okay.
I got a call from Walmart executives. Stating that they were now considering a plan to allow for there to be access, a bus turnaround on the property in the area that was already built for heavier traffic. Mm-hmm. And then the passengers would be dropped off on the same side of the street as Walmart where there were some benches that were made. And so that was encouraging to hear. That plan, as of right now, this recording has not been finalized, but they are at least in now talks with NFTA. And as I was told, they're in the final hours. They've got to either plug it in or pull the plug. So I'm hoping that we get that, and I don't have to go out there on opening day with a group of very interested and passionate people to protest that site.
Well, of course, because in 1995, the 17-year-old girl Cynthia Wiggins was hit by a dump truck and killed crossing that street.
Absolutely.
To get to work to I think it was Galleria Mall, correct?
Yeah, absolutely, and I was very active then
because they had even said initially that there was not going to be a bus going directly to Galleria Mall until that happened, right?
Absolutely, there was no bus. That's why Cynthia Wiggins, one of the reasons she lost her life was because she had to cross that traffic. She was working in the mall. The mall had been asked the same thing, and they refused also. So, what I felt was maybe Walmart did not know. They're detached from our community. They're
right.
Definitely detached from the city.
Right.
And maybe they didn't know, so I sent them a letter to educate them.
Okay.
Excuse me, I'm sorry. To educate them. And prayerfully that education rang in their ears. Mm. And since then, the town of Cheektowaga supervisor has joined the choir, and so has Senator Tim Kennedy. So hopefully with enough of us in the choir, we're able to change the heart of Walmart.
So I gotta ask you this way, and you may or may not want to answer the question directly, but you're a pastor, so you understand root issues, right? So the root issue, the root issue here is what?
You know, I've made up my own term now called cityism.
Cityism, huh?
Yeah, it's cityism, man.
That's a good one.
It is, I think, you know, if you look at it, there is not a Walmart within the city limits of the second largest city in the state of New York. There is no Walmart.
Did you ask them anything regarding that? Did you ask them why?
No, I didn't get into that. You know, their business model is their business model. That wasn't, you know, for me, I was keeping it very microscopic on what results that I was trying to get to and not trying to, you know, give them any opportunity to dilute the issue of the bus directly on their property.
Yeah, you would think.
But if you look at it, you know,
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
When you look at it, you know, cityism, I believe, is alive and well for Walmart of saying, hey, where do they go? They go to the outer ring suburb,
right.
A suburb that was widely known for not being welcoming of city residents.
Okay.
So if I wanted to keep out or control, quote unquote, city residents, I go to a place that's known for that.
Interesting. And you would think that that Walmart would have stores like nationally in city areas because there are a lot of people that I would guess that primarily Walmart's patrons are primarily from the city.
I would say, you know, I would say a lot of people from the city shop at Walmart. If you look at the other department stores or stores, the discount stores like Kmart, where are they? In the city, Target in the city, even down to Home Depot in the city.
Right.
And then here is Walmart, where many people from the city shop. And they're not located in the city. So, you know, that's probably another conversation for another day. But the fact that they are attracting people from the city, they're not going to turn down the money from the people from the city. I think a small request, and I do believe it's a small request with huge ramifications, if not honored, that small request for a multi-billion-dollar company. We are not talking about a mom-and-pop store that adding or allowing a bus and making those accommodations that is going to break them. This is not going to break Walmart. What it will show is that Walmart is a good neighbor of the city.
Right. Now, there's one other thing I want to ask you as a community leader and and pastor in the Buffalo community. Don't you think it's time for how can I say this? With respect to there being cityism, like all over the place in the United States, don't you think that would be somewhat resolved if quote unquote city people just had their own store, like develop?
I've been asked that, and obviously. Now, listen, I'm a businessman. I always push people to do business. But this is what I want people to be very careful of, separating those two issues. We should be pushing for our own, period.
Right.
Okay, that's number one. When our church even opened up our own businesses in the city, it was because that's what I believe in, is having our own. So,
right.
However,
I just want to, in saying that, like our own, quote unquote, it's not to suggest that that city people can are the only ones that can patronize this store or this church or whatever. It's just, I'm talking about ownership.
Oh, definitely. Ownership is important. However, my point is this. So people have said, we should just have our own, forget them. Well, I totally disagree. I agree in part one, we should have our own. I don't agree, forget them.
Right, exactly.
Here's the point. When Dr. King and others were not allowed to sit at the counters,
Right.
were not allowed to go into bathrooms, they didn't say, you know what, we're going to just get our own Woolworth.
Right.
No, they said, if you're going to operate, you're going to treat us fairly. You're going to treat us justly. And we should still have our own, but it does not mean that we go, no, y'all do whatever you want because we know you don't want us out there in the first place. Are you kidding me? People died so that people of all races, of all colors, ethnicities have the same rights as everyone else and are accommodated. So I am not going to be one to talk about we need our own when to be very clear. Even in the city of Buffalo, there are only a few African American franchise owners.
Right.
And for several years, I was the only African American franchise owner of a major franchise. So that's not going to happen overnight because of a lot of issues that, again, is a whole nother story that makes it so very difficult for us to stay in business. However, I agree. We need our own, but the issues have to be separated out. People, when they open up a business in the United States of America, should not be able to discriminate in any way. So I want to be clear there because that's a very good question.
Okay, well, just want to thank you for your time and thanks for reaching out and being an advocate for the community in this respect and in other respects. How's the Flint water situation going?
Man, we're still getting so much water now. We won't be going back for another month or so. Because we're working on this thing we call the Opportunity Bus I kind of shared with you before that's going to be rolling out on the streets of Buffalo to help get people connected to employment. So we had to concentrate at home for a minute, but water is still coming in. The school district of the city of Buffalo, big ups to Dr. Cash, has now gotten involved. They're using it as part of their community service. They're learning about the Flint water crisis from the beginning to the end. And actually, I believe a few of the schools are collecting water. So it's still going and it's still going well. And
before you go, I want you to address one more thing, because when people hear this conversation about cityism, a lot of times when I do when I report the news or do blogs at the WBLK website or on Facebook, there are a select few people who are very, very upset and deem me a race baiter, like cityism doesn't exist. Do you think it's fair to associate cityism with this situation, this bus situation in Walmart?
Well, first of all, no issue that you're going to stand up for is everybody going to agree with, and there will always be people who will go to race baiting and all of that in order to really water down the situation to act as if there is not a problem. Let's be clear. Whether it's cityism, whether it's racism, which I'm not afraid to say, I didn't say it in the case of Walmart because I truly from my heart believe this is about city people, period, whether you're on the west side or the east side or at all.
Right, maybe classism.
And so classism, yeah, oh, definitely. So people will say, oh, it's race baiting or city baiting if they now want to call it that. And so what? Let them say it. And that's what happens whenever there is an issue and people don't want to face the issue. And that's why it takes people with their adult underwear on and big, broad shoulders to get out here and you make a statement, you stand by it, you go for it. But if there aren't people who will do that and who will back down when people say, oh, you're race baiting, then nothing will change. And anybody in this area who feels everything is equal, that there are not problems still when it comes to cityism or racism, they're fooling themselves.
All right, Pastor Pridgen, thank you very much again, and we'll be in touch.
All right, thank you very much.